Levi Haines versus Keegan O'Toole is going to be the headline matchup, and for good reason. But that's not the only potential NCAA final that's set to take place this weekend at the Journeymen Duals.
You are Locked On Nittany Lions, your daily podcast on the Penn State Nittany Lions. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And as always, thanks so much for making Locked On Nittany Lions your first listen and watch every single day. My name is Seyko. I'm your host of the show, and help me welcome back a very special guest, and that is Jeff Byers, the voice of Penn State Wrestling, because we are talking some Penn State wrestling today. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Journeymen Duals down at Nashville. Jeff will be there. You can listen on gopsusports.com for the entire coverage of that event. So Penn State is going to wrestle Binghamton, Arkansas, Little Rock, and Missouri, and there are plenty of possible NCAA finals matches, at least definitely some NCAA postseason matches guaranteed. And I think we need to start with, Jeff, the one above all else that is going to be the most intriguing, because it seems like it is a guaranteed final. I don't want to guarantee anything, but this is the one, at least the heavy favorite to be the final. Keegan O'Toole versus Levi Haines at 174. These two met on the freestyle circuit. Jeff, this is going to live up to the billing again, if we do happen to get it, because Penn State and Missouri won't wrestle until that final dual meet, but it's nice to speculate, of course. Haines and O'Toole, this is outside of freestyle. It's now back to folk style. What are you expecting from this one?
Yeah, it's going to be a terrific match. I think they're both, elite guys. They're both guys that embrace the opportunity. I don't think either of them will shy away from any challenge pretty much ever. And I think they enjoy the opportunity to face somebody like each other. So I think it's just going to be a lot of fun. I think it'll be very entertaining for the fans. And I think both wrestlers, regardless of the outcome, will take something from it and put it in their hip pocket for if and when they meet again.
I mean, like I said, this isn't the only NCAA finals hypothetical match that we could see, or at least a postseason, because who's to say they don't meet in the semifinals of some sort? There will be a consequential match in the postseason between Levi Haines and Keegan O'Toole at some point, if everything plays out correctly here. Levi Haines in that freestyle match, Jeff, if you can remember back to that one, what was working for Haines from what you know, or from what you've, because everybody's seen it here now, that Haines was able to defeat O'Toole outside of folk style, and that seems to be O'Toole's game. I would argue that he's a better freestyle wrestler than he is a folk style wrestler, and Haines the inverse of that. But Haines was able to go out in that tournament and win at what Keegan O'Toole is more so known for when it comes to his wrestling skill set.
Yeah, I wouldn't get too caught up in that result. I mean, I think Levi gained some confidence from it. One of the things with the sport of wrestling, I think sometimes we get too caught up in, oh, this guy beat this guy, or, I mean, even if it's in the same style, sometimes it's, one guy's a little off, and I don't know that anything was wrong. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just saying there's a lot of different things that go into how somebody performs on a given day. Maybe the one guy, again, is just a little under the weather. Maybe he's just not feeling right. It just is one of those days. And, again, if you hit a couple of big moves, well, all of a sudden now the other guy's in desperation mode. And so, we see results all the time where, one guy beats another fairly handily, and then they meet again and the other guy wins. And do I think Levi takes some confidence from it? For sure. But I think Keegan, uses that now as motivation for this opportunity. I just think both of these guys have a really good perspective on the sport. They're both extremely talented and both, really humble, really hungry guys. I just think, again, to me, regardless of who wins, the wrestling community wins and fans win, because this is a match that will showcase wrestling in its very best light. Both these guys like to get out after it. It's not necessarily a high scoring affair, but I think it's going to be a high energy, and it may be high scoring, but it's going to be high energy, and it's going to be high level wrestling, and there's going to be a lot of opportunities, whether or not they're able to convert, because they're both awfully darn good on the defensive side as well. Again, it'll be fun to watch.
Since the margin of error is going to be so close, because right now, according to Intermath, this is 1 versus 2, and this very well might flip by the time we get to the postseason. I think either way, regardless, you are going to get Keegan O'Toole and Levi Haines in those top 2 spots. Who those top 2 wrestlers are in the present moment could change, but here, O'Toole at 1, Haines at 2. Jeff, what is the difference here for Haines? If he is going to secure a victory this time around, what is the difference that gives Haines that victory over O'Toole?
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things. Levi is just really steady, and you can probably say the same thing about Keegan. Neither of them get phased by much of what happens out there. They both have a very good ability to stay focused, stay in the moment. If they give up a big move or they get caught with a takedown, it's not like they panic. It's all right, well, let's get back to work. I know I can score a bunch of points. From Levi's perspective, I just think, listen, he is in phenomenal shape. He's as strong a kid as there is out there. And he is just now at a point where I think, because of all of the experience that he has, there's not a situation that he's going to be uncomfortable in or not familiar with. And again, I can turn around and say the exact same thing
I know
in every regard there about Keegan O'Toole. And so, again, to me, this is just a really fun opportunity. And, I have no idea. My guess is if they wrestled 10 times, it would be close to 5-5. What I'm seeing from Levi Haines right now, it's just hard for me. And I obviously know what Keegan O'Toole is capable of doing. It's hard for me to envision somebody beating Levi Haines. It's going to take a special wrestler and a special match by that special wrestler to beat Levi with the way he's competing right now. Now, could Keegan be, both that wrestler and wrestle that match? Yeah, I think he's one of the very few, maybe the only one out there right now that I would think could do that. But boy, if Levi is on, Zach, I have a hard time seeing how anybody, Keegan O'Toole included, beats him.
I have to agree there, just with the way that Haines has adjusted. I am going to buy, I buy a little bit of stock in that freestyle matchup against Keegan O'Toole, as I kind of made apparent the way I framed it. But I do like Levi Haines to win here, but it is truly a coin toss, and it will be the next time that they face each other, and hopefully we do get that. Levi Haines would also wrestle potentially another top 15 matchup against Brevin Casella of Binghamton. So just because you see Arkansas, Little Rock, and Missouri in this group doesn't mean that Binghamton doesn't have some solid competition there. Well, let's pivot to Josh Barr real quick before we go to break, Jeff, because Josh Barr... So Levi Haines has, yes, a potential NCAA finals match, or at least an elite caliber one solo elite caliber wrestler. Not to say anything negative about Casella Binghamton, but we're talking in terms of top 5. Well, Josh Barr could have 2 of those in terms of what is at Arkansas Little Rock, which kudos to that program for the ascension that they've had through the ranks, and for Missouri. Number 5 currently, Stephen Little of Arkansas Little Rock, and number 4, Rocky Elam of Missouri. I mean, if Josh Barr wasn't put to the test before with Michael Beard and what he was able to prove in that match, he will definitely prove something if he's able to win not one, but both of these matches come Sunday.
Yeah, and I think, Josh is another one of those guys, and again, I'd probably say this about every kid in the lineup, but he embraces the opportunity to get challenges like this, and I think he's genuinely excited about the opportunity here to go out and test himself. And again, at this stage of the season, they're going out there to win. Obviously, that's important to them. But I think it's much more important from the coaching perspective anyway, with the Penn State staff that they see how Josh Barr competes. Now, they know at this point how he's going to compete. That's not really the issue, but I think it's more, all right, let's get the feel for these guys, see exactly where we're at, what adjustments, again, win, lose, what adjustments we need to make moving into the rest of the season. Missouri staff does a very good job. I don't think anybody does a better job than Lehigh in terms of scouting opponents. But Missouri is right up there in terms of really being able to break down opponents. And so I think much like the Lehigh match gave this coaching staff a good idea. All right, well, this is what other coaches are seeing in us, and this is what they're thinking in terms of the way they want to attack or try to prepare for our guys. So let's maybe make these adjustments. I think Missouri will provide much that same opportunity. And as far as Josh Barr specifically, again, he wants to win everything, but I think getting these opportunities, seeing a Michael Beard, seeing a Stephen Little, seeing a Rocky Elam, and in particular Beard and Elam, Little is a phenomenal talent, but he's just a sophomore, so a young guy as well. Beard has been around a long time. Elam has been around, it seems like forever to me. So these are a couple of veterans, 6-year guys that when you're beating a Beard and if he's able to beat an Elam, like that is kind of a resounding statement about just where Josh Barr is at the very early stages of his collegiate career here.
So, Jeff, let's break these matchups down a little further on the other side. On the other side of this break, Rocky Elam, Stephen Little, what to expect from them as opponents. Plus, that's still not the only postseason matchup worth discussing. Nasir Bailey at 133 could face Braden Davis not once but multiple times this season. We'll talk about it more on the other side of this break. And today's show is brought to you by Rocket Money. Did Rocket Money help you find any subscriptions you forgot about or that you were paying for twice? That's definitely happened to me before. I had a few subscriptions that I didn't even realize I was still paying for, and Rocket Money made it so easy to track them all down. It's like having a personal assistant for your finances. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that helps you find and cancel your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills so you can grow your savings. It brings everything together in one place, whether it's subscriptions, your spending habits, or even the goals you want to hit this year. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has saved a total of 500 million in canceled subscriptions, saving members up to $740 a year when using all of the app's premium features. For me, one of the best features is the subscription tracker. I've used it to cancel services I wasn't using anymore, and I've saved a ton. Plus, with their goals feature, I've been able to automatically set aside money for my future. No more stressing about budgeting every single month. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and reach your financial goals faster with Rocket Money. Go to rocketmoney.com/lockedon today. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon, rocketmoney.com/lockedon. And today's show is also brought to you by Game Time. I love attending live events during the holiday season because it helps create memories that I'll have for the rest of my life. Game Time is focused on togetherness this holiday season. That means when you bring people together at live events, the experience is that much better, and it's also the perfect gift. Game Time has a new feature called Game Time Picks. That makes getting tickets to see your favorite teams play live or go to your favorite shows even easier. Game Time Picks filters out all the fluff to show you only incredible deals on incredible seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands and thousands of tickets. Are you looking for last-minute tickets to Penn State versus SMU? Well, let's talk about them. You can go to the Game Time app or go to gametime.co and see all of the Game Time picks for this game so you know that you're getting the best deal. Super deal, upper sideline, section EBU, row 43. All in pricing, no surprise fees at checkout, $44 per ticket. If you're looking for the lowest price, also upper sideline, section EBU as well, row 80, $32, all in price. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create that account. Use promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Let's jump back into it at 197 with Josh Barr wrestling not one but two elite caliber opponents. And I think we should start with Stephen Little first, since they're going to wrestle Arkansas Little Rock. And Stephen Little, we actually got to see a glimpse of his capabilities at the NWCA All-Star Classic. Jeff, you called those matches as well. I was there in person. And I mean, Stephen Little went up against one of the veterans in this weight class, Zach Bronigal of Illinois, and it took tiebreaker, but a win's still a win. A 2-1 TB2 win over Bronigal, a wrestler in the Big Ten at Illinois. So it's not when you mention, oh, he's inexperienced, but kind of makes up with that with all the talent and grit that he has as well.
Yeah, no question. He's a talented kid. He's very tough to score on, and I think one of the things that was impressive to me in that Barr Beard match was Barr's ability to get in and then finish quickly and cleanly with his takedowns. I think that's going to be a key here for Barr. I'll be kind of curious to see from a strategic standpoint, is Little just kind of trying to keep it close, or does he try to open up and get after it a little bit here with Barr? I think that's just going to be an interesting side story. I mean, I've been saying all along, I think Josh Barr is a finalist for Penn State. I think people are not quite grasping how good this guy is.
Yeah.
Certainly the win over Beard gives you an indication. I think he's going to have a very successful weekend, and I think both these guys are terrific wrestlers, and it's not the end of the world by any stretch if Barr does drop one or even both of these. The way he's wrestling right now, Zach, these guys are very, very good. Josh Barr is getting close to being in a class by himself here. And we'll see, obviously, hopefully somewhere down the road, potentially him and Ferraro, but I just don't think there's many, if any, that are going to be able to stay with Barr if he's on and if he's healthy, ready to go. I'm excited to see what he does this weekend. I think it's going to be some pretty special stuff.
And that's the expectation, right? Because Josh Barr isn't doing this late in the season. This is happening now, late November, early December, where he is showing that, okay, if he's starting to peak at this point of the season as a redshirt freshman, he's only going to get better, stronger, faster. Most important, because he already has all of those traits. That was never in question. But the strategy, the smarts, being able to go up against a veteran wrestler that's seen it all. And that's what he's going to see in a Rocky Elam. Rocky Elam, senior of Missouri. You mentioned just what Stephen Little needs to do to try to keep it competitive, keep it close. I think he's definitely in contention for an NCAA finals appearance, but I don't know that he's necessarily a shoo-in. AJ Ferrari, Stephen Buchanan, Jacob Cardenas, and Rocky Elam kind of fall into that category with Josh Barr. Of those five, those are the ones that should be the first group that's expected to make the semifinals and then ultimately the championship. What is it about Rocky Elam that's made him so good over the course of his career?
Yeah, Elam is another one. He is tough to score on. He is really good in the scramble situations, and I think for Barr, one of the keys is going to be, again, if he gets those opportunities, or when he gets those opportunities to score takedowns, to convert quickly, because if you let Elam kind of roll around and get into the scramble situation, just with his experience and his ability, that's going to be tricky territory for Josh Barr. And Elam is very good on the mat. Josh Barr is obviously very good on the mat as well, so I think that'll be intriguing as well. Can Barr get a ride going on Elam? Can Elam get a ride going on Barr? Again, one of those matches where I think that one in particular, and again, he's going to learn from all of these matches, and certainly he's going to pick up some things from Little. But I think wrestling Elam is at this stage of the season is going to be really, really beneficial for Josh Barr. Again, regardless of result, just giving you a feel for a guy that's been on the big stage here for several years, and again, just has a little different kind of funky style to him, and gives maybe a little different look than some of those other top guys at 197 will.
And it's good for Josh Barr to continue to wrestle these matches now. So if he does falter, he can make those adjustments and know what to be prepared for if and when he sees them for that second time around. Let's jump all the way down to 133, starting with Haines, going to Josh Barr. This one is certainly of intrigue, interest, especially with the way, even though he lost it, I was extremely impressed with the way that Braden Davis handled that match against Ryan Crookham. So I fully expect him to not only be competitive in this one, but potentially win. I see this as a coin flip because Nasir Bailey was an All-American last season, very talented at 133, part of this up-and-coming wrestling program at Arkansas Little Rock. Nasir Bailey did have a surprising upset. He actually lost recently to someone he shouldn't have. And Braden Davis is it looks like he has no issues with that knee injury he said he had sustained earlier in the season here. But now these two meet. These are two All-America caliber wrestlers at 133. Jeff, what stands out to you?
Yeah, again, a great opportunity here for Braden Davis. And I this is another one of those bouts where I think from the Penn State side, you're just really excited to see him get this opportunity, see how he's able to, kind of use what he's learned to this point. I agree with you. I think, I'm not sure he's at 100%, but I think he's pretty darn close to it at this point, Braden Davis. And so, I know he's excited about a chance to go out and kind of show his wares against, certainly one of the upper echelon guys here at 133, who's already kind of proven his mettle. I think, again, Braden Davis is just going to keep getting better and better, and I think is going to be right there at the end of the year. I think this will be a great match for him to, again, just get that measuring stick bout and maybe, again, figure out some things, regardless of the result. Hey, this is what I still need to definitively work on to get where I need to be. And these are some things that hopefully are working that he kind of reaffirms with his performance here. But certainly, understandably, Levi Haines is going to be stealing the headlines here with the Keegan O'Toole. No question, that's the feature bout of the day. But for me, I'd say this one is right up there in terms of a bout that I'm really looking forward to seeing and just kind of, again, getting that measuring stick for Braden Davis.
Like I said, I fully expect Braden Davis to, I don't want to necessarily say the favorite here, but a convincing win over Bailey is not, wow, that's surprising here. No, that's not surprising at all. Jeff, I'm intrigued to know, I'm interested to know your thoughts on Bailey losing this one, because this wasn't a fluke decision recently. This was to an unranked wrestler. This was a dual meet very recently against Chattanooga, where Arkansas Little Rock won no problem in the dual meet, but Bailey, who was ranked number 3 at the time, ended up losing by major decision 12-3 to an unranked wrestler. And shout out to Blake Borman for having that upset. He's going to remember that moment for a very long time. But do you think that I can't imagine, I would hope that it doesn't impact Bailey going into these matchups this weekend, and particularly the one against Davis?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I didn't see the match, so I don't know, exactly what happened or how it played out. Again, sometimes you get one 7-point move against you, and then you start, maybe panicking a little bit. And again, I did not see the match, so I want to be clear. I don't know how it developed, and
the mental aspect of it, though. Do you think is that going to motivate him to make sure that doesn't happen again?
Yeah, you don't know. Well, I don't know. Again, I don't know the makeup here of Nasir Bailey. I've seen him, obviously, watched him wrestle last year and saw him at the All-Star meet. But this is one of the things, Zach, that I think is so great about our sport, but it's also so challenging, is there's so many components to it. And certainly a big part of it is that mental component. yeah, some guys lose and they get hammered and they get angry and they're going to take it out on the next guy and they get fired up. Others, confidence can be very fragile in a sport like this. So sometimes that shakes it. Again, I also don't know, is Bailey having trouble cutting weight? Did a girlfriend break up with him recently? I mean, honestly, there are so many things that go on that people don't think about and don't have any idea about. And again, I don't know if any of this applies to Bailey. I'm just saying, just generally speaking, you see a result, it's like, well, that doesn't make any sense. Well, does it make sense if you know that this guy, just lost a relative or is under tremendous stress to make grades and had finals on a given week? There's
a lot of outlying factors that could be.
Yeah, and again, sometimes you just wake up and you're not even sick. It's just like, oh man, I don't feel right today. And sometimes your opponent is like, man, for whatever reason, I'm ready to go. I'm fired up. It's just that's what makes I guess sports in general, but to me, wrestling especially, difficult. And it's why, Zach, I have just a tremendous respect and appreciation for what so many of these Penn State kids do in terms of the consistency. And I know people think it's, well, yeah, you're a great wrestler, you're going to go out and wrestle great. Man, it's not that easy to be consistently at that level where, again, you're bringing that enthusiasm and that passion and that expertise, and you're doing it every time out. And you look up and down this lineup, Zach, there are not many of these guys that have had what you would call significantly off days. And that is just, it's hard to do. I mean, it's just, think about, in your life and in my life, man, there are days where I feel like I've done everything right and I've prepared for everything. And man, it's just frustrating. It's not going the way I want it to. Well, obviously these guys are college students. Those things can happen. But boy, they seem to happen very rarely to Penn State. So it's a long way of saying, I don't know. I don't know how Bailey's going to respond. I don't know how it affected him. And, we'll maybe get a little better idea here at this tournament down in Nashville this weekend.
My biggest takeaway from all of that, Jeff, is don't take for granted just how great Penn State is and the way that they are able to be that consistent at that top tier level. We'll wrap it up by just discussing Arkansas, Little Rock, Binghamton, Missouri. Also talking about some injury news as we got an update from Cael Sanderson on a wrestler that was competing for a starting spot this season. If you don't know about it, we'll discuss it more on the other side of this break. And today's show is brought to you by the College Football Playoff. It's that time of year. The College Football Playoff is back. And with the newly expanded 12-team format, it's guaranteed to be bigger and better than ever, bringing you all the hard-hitting, high-flying excitement that you will love. TNT Sports coverage of the College Football Playoff begins December 21st, starting with the College Football Playoff kickoff show presented by AT&T at 11 a.m. Eastern. Leading into our first matchup, the Southern Methodist University Mustangs battling the Penn State Nittany Lions at noon. Then the Clemson Tigers look to upset the Texas Longhorns in a showdown at 4 p.m. Eastern. Don't miss a moment of the action. Watch the College Football Playoff presented by Allstate live on TNT, True TV, TBS, and Max. And today's episode is also brought to you by Home Field Apparel. The College Football Playoff is almost here, and that means one thing for college sports fans: college football is better than ever right now. And to make sure you're ready, we partnered with Home Field, the exclusive apparel sponsor of our show, to bring you the Can't Miss Kickoff 2024 campaign. Home Field is the go-to for premium collegiate apparel. I know, because I bought some. This shirt right here is a Home Field apparel shirt. It's crafted with comfort in mind, featuring vintage designs that'll make you the envy of any tailgate. And with over 180 schools to choose from, including Penn State, there's something for every fan, but not just football, basketball, wrestling, as you can see, and hockey. But the real MVP is the Home Field Platinum Football Box. This is your all-access pass to exclusive gear for the 2024 season with 3 never-before-seen items from your school, plus VIPs get even more: a special hat and the 2024 Platinum Pass for early access and discounts all season long. So don't wait. Head over to homefieldapparel.com and gear up today and use our promo code WEARE24. That is WEARE24 for 15% off at checkout. All you got to do is go over to homefieldapparel.com and use discount code WEARE24. Let's make this season unforgettable. So we'll give a general overview for these teams. Of course, Missouri is ranked the highest of the opponents in the tournament rankings per Intermat. They are 8th. Arkansas Little Rock is 15th, and Binghamton is unranked. For Penn State's expected lineup for most of the matches, again, those are the headline type of matchups. This is Penn State's anticipated lineup. At going 125 through heavyweight, Luke Lillidahl, Braden Davis, Bo Bartlett, Shane Van Ness, Tyler Kasak, Mitchell Messenbrink, Levi Haines, Carter Starachi, Josh Barr, and Greg Kirkfleet. Lucas Cochran could wrestle in there as well at 197 if they decide to rotate him in for Barr. For Binghamton, Carson Wagner, Micah Rose, Nate Lucier, Ivan Garcia, Finn Nadeau, Robert Padilla, Brevin Casella, who's ranked 12th. We mentioned him earlier at 174. Will Ebert, number 23 at 184. Caden Bevis at 197. And Corey Day, ranked 17th at heavyweight. Arkansas Little Rock, as I mentioned, number 15 in the country. Tyson Roach, unranked as a freshman at 125. Nasir Bailey, number 5 in the country. Cole Minnick at 141. Jordan Williams, ranked number 16 at 149. At 157. Matty Bianchi at number 20 in the country, and then Joey Bianchi at 165, ranked 21st. Tyler Brennan, ranked 33rd at 174. Brock Del Signor at 16th, ranked 16th at 184. 197, Stephen Little, and at ranked number 5, and 285, Apollo Gothard at the heavyweight. And then for Missouri, Gage Walker, Cade Moore at 141, number 16, Josh Edmond Jr. At 149, ranked 23rd, Logan Geoffrey. At 157, James Conway. At 165, number 19, Cam Steed. 174, number 1, Keegan O'Toole. 184, this one could be interesting. Colton Hawks, ranked number 10. And 197, ranked 4th, Rocky Elam. And Aiden Sinclair. People might recognize Aiden Sinclair. He could wrestle. He could rotate into the lineup as well at 197 at heavyweight. Number 19, Seth Nitzel. So there's the total overview here. What stands out to you the most about just any of these three teams that are competing? Like I said, I pointed out that Arkansas Little Rock has risen through the ranks. They are a very strong team, and they continue to push the bar they're not just a team that can steal a couple bouts here and there. No, this is a team that can be taken as somebody that, on the outside of the top 10, but eventually might have that breakthrough.
Yeah, I think how quickly Little Rock has established itself as a formidable Division I program is pretty remarkable. And they do. They have a really solid top to bottom team. Missouri probably has a couple more guys that are maybe upper tier and could contend for high All-America honors. But, both of those teams, I think, are pretty balanced. And I think there's good opportunities there for Penn State to be tested and, some different styles. And I think one of the benefits of going to a tournament like this is getting to see schools like Little Rock and Missouri where maybe you're seeing some kids and even teams that just have a little different style than what Penn State is generally accustomed to seeing in the Big Ten. And I think that's, something you can use when you get to the national tournament. Hey, I've seen a guy, either that particular guy or just, having wrestled in a tournament like this, this type of style. Some of these guys are really good with legs. Some are really good with the baseline defense. So I think, again, it's just part of that growing process that every team's going through. I just think, certainly from Penn State's perspective, this is just a great opportunity to go out, get the chance to compete, and then put some more things in the data sheets for later in the season, both in terms of what your kids need to improve on, but also, hey, matchup wise, this is maybe how we need to change things up a little bit strategically when it's win or go home.
Right. I definitely agree with the idea of the variety of talent, the differences in style. I mean, difficulty is one thing, but it's you could encounter any type of wrestler in the postseason, and I think you're going to get three different type of matchups all in one day, and hopefully we get to see for the most part, 100% of the starting lineup all the way through from Binghamton to Arkansas, Little Rock to Missouri at 3 p.m., 5 p.m., 7 p.m. Eastern time. Like I said, this is a full day of wrestling. One wrestler who won't be participating right now. There's optimism for the future, but at 157, Alex Facundo is out for what could be a few to several weeks. Jeff, I'm not asking you to disclose any information because this is personal, or else Cael would have told us. But he gave us an update. Hey, we saw Facundo on crutches at the dual meet against Wyoming in the Bryce Jordan Center. What is the update there? And he said, just being honest, it could be a few to several weeks. Depth matters. That's my immediate takeaway. And you saw how valuable Tyler Casack was in the absence of Shane Van Ness. And go figure, it's the same weight class that Tyler Casack is competing in. But imagine if Casack was not in that spot at 157, and then Penn State's kind of scrambling for an answer at that weight class if Facundo happened to be the starter and there was no Casack.
Yeah, and listen, I mean, injuries are part of wrestling, unfortunately, and yeah, it's why depth does matter. I will also say there are very few teams in the history of the sport that have anywhere near the depth that this Penn State team has this year. And the truth is that even if a starter went out and it was at a weight where there wasn't much depth, because of the depth in the lineup, top to bottom, I'm talking about that depth among the 10 starters, if you have a weight where suddenly now it looks like Penn State isn't going to score points at nationals, I mean, the fact that you have 9 other guys that are, again, looking to score not just, some points, but looking to score big points at nationals. It's why Penn State is such a prohibitive favorite this year to win the national title. Is it does have that type of depth in the room where you have a Casack and a Facundo competing for the same spot, or an Aaron Nagao with his injury competing for a spot with a Braden Davis or Lucas Cochran and Josh Barr. I mean, up and down the lineup, you have those types of battles going on in the room. And, I think that's beneficial for this year's team to have that depth, but it's also beneficial for the future Penn State teams because a guy like Hunter Mirasola is getting that experience in the room with Josh Barr and with Lucas Cochran. And again, you can say that up and down the lineup, the guys that aren't in that starting lineup that are projected starters down the road. Well, the fact that they have these guys to learn from and to compete with and battle and learn from every day, that is not insignificant. And it's why, again, Penn State is a prohibitive favorite this year, and very few people are projecting much different in the coming years here in college wrestling.
He is the voice of Penn State wrestling, Jeff Byers. He's also the morning show host over at Fox Sports 98.7 in State College. You can check him out down in the description, all the work that Jeff does outside of wrestling. Also link to the broadcast itself because Jeff is going to be talking about it nonstop, covering the matches as they happen in real time over at gopsusports.com. So Jeff, thanks so much for the time to help me summarize all of this information between 3 different dual meets all in one day for Penn State wrestling. Thank you so much for the time and safe travels to Nashville.
Thanks. We'll take it.